is up, guys? This is Zach from Angler's Escape, and today I'm making a new series on fishing basics. And so I'm going to make a video. Basically, let's say you want to go fishing with a friend. This is your first time fishing. You want to go to the store and pick up some basic tackle, and that'll probably cost you around 30 bucks, and I'm going to tell you what you need to get. So the first thing when you walk into the store, and a good store would be like Walmart or a sporting goods store, but Walmart would be the cheapest. But anyway, you need a rod and reel combo. And so the first thing you want to get is look at the reels, and you can see here's an open face and here's a closed face or spin cast reel. This reel is a lot harder to start off with. I have a lot of friends that have never fished before. I'll give them an open face reel like this and I'll teach them how to cast it, and 2 casts later they'll come back and it's just a huge tangled mess. So I would leave this one out of the picture if you're just starting out fishing and just focus on getting the spin cast or closed faced reel. Most of these will come with a combo with the reel, and so I'd go ahead and get the combo. It usually comes pre-strung too, which is great. If it doesn't happen to come pre-strung, I'd go with something around 10-pound test line. Monofilament is a great starter point. 8 to 12 is anywhere in that range is fine. So there's your line, your rod and reel. The rod and reel combos, hopefully you could get for around 20 bucks. The next thing you want to do is if your best bet, I find, is just using worms for fishing. If you've never fished before, you don't know what you're going to catch, just have a quick setup for fishing worms, and I'll also show you a setup for lures. And this also works for other baits like minnows. But anyway, you have basically your line. You already got your rod and reel set up. Go ahead and buy a bobber or two, and you can get these traditional bobbers, or you can get one of these more cylindrical bobbers. And basically these have less resistance when the fish pull them down, so they're less likely to try to spit out the bait when they feel that resistance. So you have your bobber, you'll go down like a couple feet, and then you'll have a small sinker, just enough to make sure your hook and your bait sinks down. And you'll tie in a hook, and this isn't a super big hook. I'll show you a penny real quick, but this is a great hook for fishing for bass and bluegill and all kinds of stuff. We'll take it on this hook. But anyway, this is kind of the setup you want for fishing for worms. So that would be the setup I went with. If you never fished before, you don't know what you're going to be catching. When you do go, I'd get a little accessory pack like this. A lot of times they'll have different things in them, like they'll have different weights. You get a few different small weights, get a different hook assortment. Here's a couple hooks that came in the hook assortment. You can see there's all different sizes. Let's say the fish are really stripping your baits, your worms. Just keep downsizing your hook size so you get smaller and smaller hooks. And you might end up using a itty-bitty hook like this to catch bluegill, and that'll help it so your bait isn't getting stripped as much, and keep using smaller baits. Another thing is, if you're planning on keeping fish, get a stringer, which is basically a string that you stick through the fish's gill and mouth and gill, and then tie it back to itself, and then tie one end off to something so the fish can stay in the water. And then also just get a pair of nail clippers. They're really easy, and they basically take the place of scissors and cutting line, and they're just really compact. You hardly even need a tackle box the first time out if you're not sure if you're going to fish a lot, because you can fit a pair of nail pliers, your weights, hooks, all in like a little box like this, and just put this in your back pocket practically and bring it with you. Over here you can see I have some tackle boxes, some pretty big ones that you can go ahead and get later if you get more into fishing. But to start out, something like this works fine for a makeshift tackle box basically. The last thing I'd like to talk about, guys, is if you want to use lures. So I talked about baits. You can hook this up like what I showed you earlier with worms or minnows. But if you're using lures, the #1 lure for starting, and I've caught more fish than anything, is just an end line spinner, something like this. I've caught catfish, bluegill, bass, trout. Just 2 weeks ago, I took my sister trout fishing, and her first cast with one of these lures, she caught a 1-pound rainbow trout. So I'd get something like this. My favorite brand is Blue Fox, but there's all kinds of different brands out there, guys. The next thing I'd like to talk about is some other lures that you might see at the store. There's crankbaits, which I don't know if I'd start out yet for beginners. They're more just for bass, and they're easy to snag, and they can be pretty expensive. But another inexpensive lure is is just kind of a twisted tail jig, and pretty basic, easy to use, good action. But these 2 lures would be ones that I would get. They're pretty cheap. You can get 5 of these for $6, or probably 1 of these for $2. So grab a couple of those spin lures. Just make a little setup for fishing with bait for bluegills and worms like I showed you here. And just get the rod and reel combo pre-strung, easy to go. You don't even need a tackle box. Just bring something like this. And I hope this helps you just kind of get set up for fishing when you go with other friends. And hopefully this won't cost much more than 30 bucks. So I hope you learned something here today, and good luck fishing.